6 months into your show and you haven't really seen the results that you're looking for, it's likely that your guest strategy is wrong. Welcome to B2B On Air. I'm your host, Joseph Lewin, and in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through guest strategy from 3 different angles. If you have listened to the show at all so far, there's 3 types of shows that I typically find clients are trying to start. The first one is with a goal of driving revenue. They want to drive revenue, they want to drive pipeline, they want to get new customers. The second one is to grow an audience and, ultimately grow their brand. And the third one is thought leadership, and that's really to position the host as an expert. So I'm going to walk through each one of these really quickly and the types of guest strategies that I would typically recommend. Now, if you're looking to drive revenue through your show and you're selling something that requires at least one, if not more, sales calls, like if you're selling something that's $500 or it's a PLG motion where it's $30, that changes the equation a little bit. But if you're looking to sell something that requires a salesperson to hop on 1 or 2 or 3 calls, or there's any kind of complexity, the absolute best way to drive revenue through your show is to invite your ideal customers on the show and build a relationship with them. And if they have what you need, then starting a conversation, a sales conversation with them. I've addressed the idea of the Trojan horse strategy in the past, and there's ways to do it without being slimy, where you're really adding value to the guest. But that is by far the best strategy. It works incredibly effectively. In fact, I just got a message from a client this week that he booked the international head of sales at one of their key target accounts, and he just started doing outreach. They barely even launched their show yet, and they're already seeing great results from doing that. But there's a key mistake that a lot of people make with this strategy, and that's that they try to have on peripheral people who are not exactly in their ICP. So it'd be industry influencers, it would be potential partners. So let's give an example. Maybe CPAs tend to work with the types of clients that you work with. And so you think, well, if I have a CPA on my show, then they're going to introduce me to their clients. Or maybe it's a software vendor that sells something that's right next to what you do, and you could do partnership deals together and sell into the same accounts. I love the idea in theory, but in practice, those deals take a very long time to come to fruition. And you're going to have maybe 1 out of 10 of those conversations that actually turns into a real deal where you get a client from it. And so I'm not going to say you should never have those people on your show, but for your first 6 months, 3 to 6 months of your show, focus solely on having ICP, ideal customers on your show. And then save those partnerships and those conversations for down the road, and have maybe 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 10 people be one of those kind of peripheral sales, because they end up taking 12 to 18 months to get started, and it's kind of hit or miss. Whereas if you get the right person on and you focus primarily on people who could actually buy from you, you can close a deal in 3 to 6 months and have a really solid pipeline from it. All right, so now we're going to move on to audience. What kind of guests should you have if you're trying to grow an audience? You need to get your show frequency up, 2 to 5 a week, 3 to 5 a week. And so I'd recommend doing a lot of short 5 to 15 minute solo episodes, and then maybe sprinkling in some guest episodes here and there. And those guests don't need to be in your ICP. Those people need to be industry influencers, top experts. Those need to be people who already have an audience themselves. So when they come on your show, you're hopefully going to get some benefit from their audience. And then the larger your audience is, the more enticing it is for those people to come on your show, because they're going to gain audience from you as well. And so it's much less about having your ideal fit customers on, and way more about having people on who already have influence, so that you can gain credibility by associating with them and hopefully get some of their loyal audience to also become your loyal audience. And then finally, when it comes to thought leadership, this category is a little bit interesting. I would say that from a guest booking perspective, if you want to grow as a thought leader, you should probably not have that many guests on. And if you do, they need to be people with very high expertise in your area. So for thought leadership, focus way more on your ideas, your perspective, give real world stories, and frameworks and all of that kind of stuff. And then occasionally you could have on an industry expert to dive deeper and really go deep into a topic. But if you're focusing on thought leadership, I would really tone down the amount of guest episodes that you're even doing. So anyway, that's a couple ways to think about who you should have on your show, Curious what your thoughts are. If you completely disagree with me, that's awesome. Hit me up on LinkedIn and tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to talk about it with you. And with that, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode.